All right, let's talk about a problem that I think we all face. Those repetitive, soul-crushing tasks that just eat up our time and our energy. Today, we're going to dive into how you can take back control and, really start to automate your world.
No, really, just take a second and think about it. Are you copying and pasting data from one system to another, chasing down teammates for updates, building the same report by hand every single week? All those little 5-minute jobs, they add up. And before you know it, a huge chunk of your week is just gone.
This quote just hits so hard, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling of being stuck in a loop. It's this endless, draining cycle of manual work that just kills morale and wastes everybody's time. It's a pain that so many of us feel in our jobs. But what if you could actually break that cycle for good?
Yeah, we call this the repetitive task trap. It is so easy to fall into, where your days are just defined by all this manual busy work. But here's the good news. Escaping this trap is totally possible. You just need the right mindset and, more importantly, the right tools. So let's look at one of the best ones out there.
So, say hello to our solution, Microsoft Power Automate. Honestly, the best way to think about it is as your own personal digital assistant. It's a service that lets you build these automated workflows, they call them flows, that connect all your different apps and services together. You can use it to sync files, get notifications, collect data, pretty much anything you can think of. And the best part? You don't have to write a single line of code.
And here's why it's so approachable. The whole concept is brilliantly simple. Every single automation, no matter how complicated it seems, is built from just two basic parts. First, you have a trigger. That's the event that kicks everything off, like, say, a new email arrives in your inbox. And second, you have the actions. Those are the tasks that the flow performs in response, like saving an attachment from that email and then pinging your team about it. It's just a simple, if this happens, then do that recipe.
And let's look at that in action right here. In this example, the trigger is just someone manually pressing a button to start the flow. That one single event then kicks off two actions that happen at the same time. One email goes to the person who submitted the form to say, hey, we got it, and another email goes to an approver for the next step. So one trigger, multiple actions, all happening in a split second, automatically.
Okay, so you can really start to see Power Automate as this powerful engine, right? You just need to tell it what to do and when to do it. Let's build on that with a super practical example that, honestly, you could probably set up in the next 5 minutes. Let's start with a simple daily reminder. The trigger here is just your schedule. You set it to run every single day at 8 a.m. The action is to send an email you only have to write one time. And the result? Freedom. You never have to think about sending that reminder ever again. It just works. This might seem like a small win, but it's the perfect example of how you can start automating your life right now.
Reminders are a fantastic starting point, for sure, but they're really just the tip of the iceberg. The real power gets unlocked when we take that same trigger and action logic and apply it to much bigger, more complex business problems. And that is when the results become absolutely transformative.
So let's see just how this scales up, from these simple little tasks to what we call supercharged automations. We're about to look at some real-world examples that are literally saving teams hundreds of hours and completely changing the way they work.
Okay, check out this incredible business use case. Here, the trigger is a new email from a supplier with a report attached. The actions? The flow automatically opens that email, reads the CSV file inside, pulls out all the important data, and then creates the right entries in a complex ERP system. This one flow saved over 10 hours of mind-numbing data entry every single week, and it basically eliminated human error. I mean, that is a huge win.
And it's not just for corporate stuff. Look at this genius personal automation. This user turned their favorite email newsletter into a private podcast. The flow gets triggered when the newsletter arrives, it sends the text over to an AI service that reads it out loud, and then it emails an MP3 file right back. How cool is that? It's a completely new way to think about consuming information on the go.
This one might be my favorite. A flow that manages an entire, complex new hire onboarding process. It all kicks off from a simple form. From there, it sends out a whole series of different emails based on the new hire's role and answers. It even sends a weekly summary report to HR to track progress until every single step is done. This isn't just about saving time anymore. This is about creating a perfect, consistent, error-free experience for every new person who joins the company. So creating powerful automations like that, the ones that are really reliable and robust, it takes a bit more than just dragging and dropping actions onto a screen.
To go from a simple helper to a true enterprise-grade solution, you need to follow a few key rules of design.
If you want to build like a pro, you need to be disciplined. This means using really clear, consistent naming conventions so you, or someone else, can understand what's going on months later. It means adding notes to explain the why behind complex steps. For bigger flows, you'll want to use scopes to group related actions together and child flows to create reusable bits of logic you can call on again and again. And of course, probably most importantly, always secure your sensitive data.
This slide shows just how critical that good design is. On the left is a super common mistake, a loop running inside of another loop. Now, it'll probably work, but it's incredibly slow because it has to check every single item one by one by one. The professional approach, on the right, is so much smarter. It uses a single filter array action to grab only the data it needs right at the start. The result isn't just cleaner to look at, it is exponentially faster to run.
The whole philosophy is simple, right? Work smarter, not harder. Instead of these deeply nested if statements that are hard to read, use a series of sequential ones. Instead of looping through a mountain of data, just filter it at the source. And instead of building one giant monstrous flow that's impossible to debug, break it down into small, reusable parts. In automation, efficiency really is elegance.
Now here is a crucial number I want you to remember, 30. Any single run of a flow will automatically time out after 30 days. This is so critical for any long-running processes like multi-stage approvals that might take weeks to complete. If your automation could take longer than that, you have to design it to handle this limit, otherwise it's just going to fail.
And finally, let's talk limits. Every single action in your flow, every send email, every get item, it counts as one API request, and your license determines your daily limit. That can range from a few thousand for a standard license to over 250,000 for the heavy-duty ones. This is exactly why efficiency matters so much. It's not just about making your flows faster, it's about making them smart enough to work within the resources you've got.
So, we've seen how this all scales, right? From simple reminders all the way up to truly transformative business processes. We've learned the rules for building these things like a pro. So now, the only question left is the one that really matters. If you could automate one single task out of your life forever, what would it be?